Welcome to the match preview. Today we'll be discussing Palace's home match Monday evening versus the Red Devils of Manchester. Please remember if you are watching to subscribe. If you are listening, please leave us a 5-star review on either Apple, Spotify, whatever you listen to, and enjoy the show. Please be joined today by Nick, Caragh, and T. We'll start with you, Nick. How are you today, sir?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad. Middle of the week. Can't wait for Thursday and Friday to be over. Obviously, people will be listening to this on Thursday or Friday. Yeah, it's very, very busy. I'm glad we haven't got a game on Saturday. And I'm glad we haven't got a game on Sunday. I've got a bit of a recovery weekend because I went out Saturday night, overindulged, and I'm suffering for it. So.
Okay. T, how are you today?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. Man, Monday can't come soon enough. I mean, when your team's playing good, and not having a weekend of football sometimes can be a little bit rough, So, patiently waiting for Monday to come and have to be on here with you all to talk a little bit about the match.
Great. And Caragh, how are you today?
I am great, Patrick, after last weekend, and we all know why. Now a WSL club.
But wait, before you get into that, aren't you getting ready for some kind of a marathon or some kind of running going on with that?
I am, yeah. Don't remind me of that. I try not to think about it as much as possible. My friends and I run in the Belfast Marathon on Sunday, but it's a relay, so we're not doing the full distance. We do a leg and then get to claim that we've done a marathon at the end of it. So it's a winner.
You have to sprint 200 meters and then you go to the next person, but then you've got to sprint 400 meters to be next in the relay.
Nick,
man.
You've met me several times. Do I look like someone who sprints to you at any point in my life?
No.
Yeah,
okay. I thought maybe the Irish life was suiting you. So
no, that's the long distance. You just put one foot in front of the other until you're told to stop. I can do that, but nothing fast.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate that. Let's talk quickly about our last match. I don't want to get into it too much because we did a live match reaction that D did on Saturday for Fulham. For me, decent result. Was that 10 points we got in the last 4 matches. But I want to bring up 2 things. I don't want to go over the game without bringing up 2 things. One, and anyone can jump in this question first. Anybody see the double nutmeg that Tyreek Mitchell did on the Fulham players that was on All Access? Anybody see that?
I did not see that.
Yeah. Well, if you get a chance, it's on YouTube. It's also on Palace TV Plus. He double nutmegs and actually does an interview with Grierson on Instagram. I think it's on Instagram. And I gave him a 5 in the ratings. He now gets a 7 for the nutmeg. That's ridiculous.
Fair enough.
But the Jeffrey Schlupp goal, we got to talk about that. I want to get all 3 of your reactions. I'll start with you, Caragh. What were your thoughts on that goal?
Here, so I was on the plane for the second half, pretty much all of the second half. So when I took off after having watched us lift the women lift the trophy on Sunday, we were 1-0 down, and as soon as the plane landed, I turned my airplane mode off way quicker than I should have, and I was just like refreshing, right, just to see, like, did we get anything back? Like, please say we didn't lose. And then I saw we got a goal back. I was like, okay, phew, like at least there's a point. And then I saw Jeffrey Schlupp, and I was like, interesting. Okay, not what I thought, but let's roll with it. Okay, let's go. And then obviously all the clips have appeared on Twitter, and so I was stood in the airport waiting for my bus and watched it, and just accidentally out loud went, oh, and the people around me were like, what's going on? So that was my reaction to the Jeffrey Schlupp goal, and then watched it back about 1 million times, and it's Wharton's reaction as he sees it going in as well, which is almost as beautiful as the goal itself. I chuffed to bits for him, because I think obviously he's been brought on as a sub couple of times, and we're having to get used to being happy about Jeffrey Schlupp coming on as a sub, and so he's got his wonder goal, and we'll see if he leaves at the end of the season, then it's a kind of perfect way to end. But I know you don't want to talk about transfers yet, Patrick, so
you're talking about flights there, Caragh, and being in airplane mode. your reaction was exactly the same as Crystal Palace teams flying up to Newcastle when they landed and found out they've been deducted 10 points.
Yeah, good point. That's in Simon Jordan's book, by the way. Get what you asked for. T. Um, I liken that goal to the Andros Townsend goal that he scored against Man City because
Oh.
I told you I've never seen a ball hit better. But what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that goal?
And that's a great point, Patrick. I think the other goal that makes me think of it too, the one that I immediately thought of was Gyro's goal. That just rocket shot that he had a couple of
Fulham, I
years
think it was
back.
Fulham, right? Fulham was that
Fulham.
Fulham
It was
during
Fulham. I think it was
during
actually
lockdown.
Fulham.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that made me think of that one. But when people say, "Oh, I was speechless," when Jeff Schlupp scored that goal, I couldn't even audibly celebrate because I was so stunned. Like I was just sitting there, just like, and my wife's like, "Did they score?" I'm like, yeah, just like it was that good, man. Like, and such a timely goal too. We're in that situation where we really really need it, and we had played so well prior to it, especially in that first half, man. So, like Kara said, if he doesn't return next season, what a way to go out.
Yeah, I agree. Nick, a little different from you. As you probably all know, there's the Golden Season's out, and that Schlupp goals in it as one of
Yeah.
the contenders. There are some ridiculous goals from the women's matches, Jesse Derry in the academy, and a ton of first team goals. Eze, Olise, Matet. No, there isn't a Mateta goal. No, there isn't. There should be that backheel goal should be in there. Anyway, Nick, where would you rank that goal as far as goal of the season? Would it be your goal of the season this year? Shots?
My goal of the season, I can't remember the player's name much to my embarrassment, but in the sequence, the first women's team goal was my pick of the
Sinead, is that
bunch.
Sinead Hopcroft's goal or Aria Dennis's goal? They're both up for
Uh,
the award.
Whatever the first one was that was shown on the reel, I
Okay.
can't remember off the top of my head, but I remember thinking that is class. My second would be the goal against Liverpool, just simply because it was a team goal and it showed us what Oliver Glasner's about. And my third is Mitchell's when he scored his own goal.
Yeah, that's unfortunately not one of your nominees, but thank you, Nick, for that.
So yeah. Can I just talk about one thing in the Fulham game before you ask the others their favourite?
I wasn't gonna ask them their favorite. Just wanted to ask you. But go
All
ahead.
right, no. It was a great game, a really entertaining game to watch, and kind of relaxed for me as a viewer, simply because we were safe. So we weren't exactly on the beach, but when we were all over them first 20 minutes, and Fulham didn't know what to do. Now the Fulham goalie was injured, allowing Silva time to rally his troops and almost change their tactics, because we weren't as potent after that stoppage. Now, Silva's a good manager. Do you think he sussed what Glasner was doing, was able to nip it in the bud in that game? And if so, does that mean other managers going forward will be able to suss it? Or do you think we just ran out of steam a little bit and lost the impetus?
Who are you asking? The panel? Or are you asking yourself? You're asking
I'm
me? Who you
asking in
asking?
general.
Okay. T, you want to answer that? I can answer it, but T, you want to answer it?
He's muted.
Nobody wants to answer it.
Say it again for me. I want to make sure I'm understanding what you're asking here.
We had a break in play when the keeper was injured.
Yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Yes.
The Silva was talking tactics. In fact, the whole coaching team were on the sideline telling Fulham what to do, and we were less potent after that. Now, was it the break in play that stopped us being as good? Were we tired, or did Silva suss us? And
I spoke about this with D on the reaction, and it kind of the way that it felt to me and I made a comparison to American football. Like there are times when an offense is in no huddle and they're going really, really fast, and it's causing a lot of trouble for the defense. And the defense has a guy go down and plays hurt to try to slow the offense down, so that they can get a chance to rest, to recalibrate, and in certain situations, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And that's really what it felt like, man, because obviously it was very apparent that from that point of him going down injured to after, Fulham were playing a very different style of play. Now, mind you, they would have made that adjustment at halftime, but they were just able to make it sooner, I think. But you know, I definitely think it was a call to the dark arts, if I had to say.
Yeah, I agree on that. I think it was just a matter of us being also very tired. But I agree. I heard you guys on the show too. I agree with that. I think it was definitely a matter of them just being able to slow down that quick offense that was going on. So let's get to some Palace news. I'll start with today's news. Actually, apparently Mark Guehi will be available on Monday for the squad, which is great to have him back in the squad. Who knows how long we'll have him for? So nice to have him back. Monday, under 21s faced first place Tottenham Hotspur in the PL2 league. They won 5-0. Jezak Saki was in the squad, had a hat trick. David Ozo had an assist. Matherin had a penalty goal, and Vontae Williams scored his first goal this season for 21. So now they will now move on to face Liverpool away in the round of 16. The way it works in the playoffs is that the top 16 teams qualify for the next round, and they have a knockout competition from there. So good luck to 21s. They've got that coming up, and also the International Cup final against PSV. So some good stuff coming up, but nothing as good as the following. Sunday, our women's team, cheered on by a record 6,796 fans, were promoted to the WSL, and one of us was at the game. So, Caragh, take it away, please.
It was me. I'll start off with the calm bit, which was the game was a little bit tough to get through itself. I'm not going to lie. And I am so glad that the promotion wasn't relying on that game, although I'm sure the kind of the nerves going into it would have been slightly different. It looked like a bit of a slog. Sunderland, you could really see their quality, and it's a kind of a reflection I took away from the game itself on Sunday was that they are going to have to start expanding how many teams go up and go down at some point soon, because Sunderland, any other season, I think both us, Sunderland, and even Charlton as well would have been good enough to make it up, you know. So we'd like to see that, at least that conversation happening some point soon, because we're getting more and more of the kind of full-time teams getting relegated from the WSL, and more of the championship teams going full-time, and you just see that massive improvement in quality. So yeah, hopefully that comes some point in the future. But of course the final whistle went, it was 0-0, and that meant that was it. There was no 20 goal difference made up. That we were all slightly worried Palace would be the only team who managed to throw that away in history. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I just broke down. I just stood there and sobbed for a couple of minutes watching them all celebrate. It's really hard to put into words how emotional it was, like above and beyond just how emotional a normal promotion would be. I mean, what was it, 2018 that the players weren't even getting any money, and Will Zaha had to put money in his pocket and help pay some of their wages. That's the kind of level of disrespect that we're coming from in terms of the women's team within our club, right? We've been full-time professional for literally just this season. Change of manager just this season. Director of women's football just this season. It's all so new and it's all slotted into place, and I think it just shows.
Is it too soon, Caragh? Sorry, is it too soon? Could we have done with? Is it too soon?
No,
could we have done with another season or not?
No, not at all, because I think what they've done is they've just put the strategy, and they've put the structure in place, and once you've got that, if they carry on having the money there and they carry on having that, then I think we're in with a chance. Now there's a big conversation going on with Bristol City getting relegated from the WSL. You know, we're taking their spot next year. There's no women's teams in the WSL now that aren't linked to a Premier League football team. The only other one would have been Leicester, but obviously Leicester have got promoted now. Men's team have been promoted back into the Premier League for next season. So there's a lot of conversations around like why is that happening, and shout out to Bristol City, man, because even their last game that of the season where they knew they were getting relegated, they had a crowd of over 6,000, and that's not that's not a big men's team following that has gone along to the women's game. That is in their own right, massive fan base out to support. So I think there's a lot of work that still needs to be done on the structure to just make sure that we're not just seeing the same teams replicated in the top tier. But for now, we're there. And like I say, before I started going to see Palace women's games, before we started having them at Selhurst again, the only other women's game I'd seen at Selhurst Park was England versus Germany. Now, I can't remember exactly what year this was, but Rachel Yankee was playing for England. I was a kid, and I think we'd got some free tickets, which is why we went, and Selhurst wasn't even full. So to go from that within my lifetime to a kind of near 7,000 crowd to watch us get promoted in the WSL was a truly emotional experience, and I just can't wait to come home and see us not just see us at Selhurst Park against the Arsenals, the Man Uniteds, whatever, but actually go into away games and getting to see Palace women playing at these massive other stadiums that we would only normally see the men. So yes, Patrick, you did say I could speak for as long as I wanted to, but I'll leave it there for now.
You pluralised, Caragh. How dare you? You went your Chelsea's and your Man United's. That's the sin.
No, I didn't say Chelsea. To be fair, I did not say Chelsea.
Well, you did say your Man United.
True.
I did say only because Mary Oates plays for them, though, Nick. To be fair, so I feel like I can be let off for that one.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that, about the whole. It mirrors Premier League teams, and maybe the 3 up, 3 down, or maybe even 2 up, 2 down with the third from bottom in a playoff, just to make it a bit more interesting. Maybe a way forward, but I have no sway, so it's just wishful thinking.
No, I think the accomplishment is amazing that they've made it. I know I watched a lot of the post-match interviews with like Elise Hughes, whatever, and I know they saw one of them with the assistant manager. I forget his name. They said they had a 3-year plan, and they've done it in a year. So Nick's question about maybe it's too far. I don't think it is either. I'm with you, Caragh. The sooner you get up there, the better. And you're right. Every time it's a lower team, they go right back down the next year anyway. So get your opportunity. Hopefully, get the funding. Get players that they. I thought they have a wonderful coach, Laura Kaminsky. She got a great background. She did a ridiculous job already in that first year. I think take the chance. Hopefully, just stay up next season, and then from there you can always push on. That was Palace 10 years ago. That was our 2013. It's going to be stay up, and you never know what happens. So, very quickly, Nick or T, any thoughts on that promotion for the women's team?
Go on, T.
Well, I guess my thought is actually a question to Caragh, being that I'm admittedly new to my fandom of the women's team and my following. What would you say has been the difference? What made the difference for them this season to make this jump to conquer the championship and get the promotion? Like what's been the change that you've seen or that you've noticed that's really made the difference?
Yeah, a couple of things. In no particular order, really, because I think they all have equal weight. But Grace Williams coming in as the director of women's football. Now, she got Bristol City. She got Bristol City promoted last season. She did the same job for them last season when they went up to the WSL and then came to us, thankfully. And it just the whole operation just seems a lot more professional. Now, obviously, we don't know what happened with the last manager. There was lots of, we know there were some kind of accusations made, I think, from players to himself and some of the coaching staff. But credit to the girls in the club in a way, none of that ever kind of became public, so we don't know what happened there. But clearly last season there were some issues behind closed doors that, to be honest, it was amazing we did as well as we did last season with all of that going on in the background. They would have been forgiven for having a lot worse season. But so sorting all of that out, Laura Kaminsky, absolutely amazing coach. Patrick's already touched on it. I think she did her training at Chelsea, so I will give Chelsea a little bit of credit here, but only their training facilities. and the signings we've made, which I think comes under those two umbrellas. The kind of scouting of talent to grab a couple of girls off Arsenal, but keep our a couple of players. I'll give Molly Sharp a shout out actually, because she's been on our podcast a couple of times, and she's one of the players that I think you can look at and see how much she's developed by going full time. Now, she was coaching before she was working full time, and then going and doing her training in the evenings and playing at the weekends, right? And I think she'll forgive me for saying that last season she kind of didn't really find her form, whereas this season she's just been on absolute fire. And even on Sunday, we didn't score, but some of the balls that she was playing through, you wouldn't have seen them off her for the last couple of seasons. So I hope that answers your questions. But basically, just root and branch change, I think, and keeping hold of some of the girls that they recognise. Know if we give them what they need, then they'll make the cut.
It'll be interesting to see how it affects the take-up of grassroots girls football from next season onwards, given that Palace are going to be live on the BBC. So it will be another local team. I know that the game is growing for girls at grassroots. I'm talking sort of 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds up. And I remember a couple of girls who played in Will's team who were really good. In fact, one of them plays for London Lionesses now. And she was head and shoulders above everybody else on the pitch. And it was almost a shame that they had to leave the team when they got to age 12, because that's when it split, and she kind of had nowhere to go from there. So hopefully we'll see an explosion of clubs and some really competitive leagues out there for girls to actually take the football forward and use South East London and the broader area to actually make it a South London women's team, you know, with lots of local players.
Yeah. Again, it's a great compliment. Again, shout out to the women's team. I mean, really lifting the trophy at Selhurst is always a great thing. So I'm very happy for them. Hopefully when I come over next season, I'll be able to catch at least a few of their games as well as the men's team. I'm looking forward to that next year. Let's pivot now back to the men's team and our preview of the game versus Man United. Currently, Man United are 6th in the table on 54 points, pushing for, at best for them, a Europa League position. We are in 14th on 40 points, 3 points behind Fulham, but only 4 points behind our rivals Brighton, which is good. So, just historically, this fixture has been a very tough one for Palace. It hasn't been recently, but Nick, prior to 2019, when we had the Van Aanholt late goal, beating them 2-1 Old Trafford, do you remember the previous win against United had been? It had been a long time. It had been 19 years. 17 years, sorry.
I can't remember. The only Man United game I remember going back sort of, well, you're going 19, you're going back to 2000-ish, aren't you?
No, 92.
92.
Yeah.
See, I was looking back.
Sorry, that is 19 years. I'm sorry. I was right the first time. Is that right? Yeah. Bloody hell, what's wrong with my math now?
You've retired. Your brain's gone to mush. Golf.
He's already on that golf course tomorrow.
I am. John Solarco. It was the game, and John Solarco goal when we beat them. That was a long time ago.
Yeah, I was thinking a long time ago when we were, I think it was 92, we got beat 2-0 at home, standing on the Holmesdale. It's one of my memories with my dad, because we came up from Bracknell on the train and all the pubs were full, so we went in an off-licence, and the only beer they had left in the off-licence was Red Stripe, Crucial Brew in black can, which is like 13%. So we had 2 of them each, and then we got to the next off license. All they had was Heineken, which was like lemonade. Then we went to the match, and at half time, we both had banging hangovers.
Wow.
And Steve Coppell made a mistake that day because he made a sub, and Ian Wright had gone down injured, so we had to go down to
10 men. Yeah, I remember that. United in the last 5 games have won 1 and drawn 4. 2-2 against Liverpool, 2-2 against Bournemouth, 3-3 against Luton, and 1-1 against Burnley. The only win was a 4-2 win against Sheffield United. Thank you, Nick. Our last game against United, we won, obviously 1-0. Yeah, I know. The 1-0 win with Joakim Anderson scoring the goal. T, United are struggling. Let's just say United standards are not doing well this season at all. Obviously, the fans are calling for Ten Hag to be out. They've not won anything this season. They are in the FA Cup final, so they got a chance to win a trophy. What are your thoughts on United in general as far as how their season's gone this year?
There are a few times when I felt like this confident going into a match against Man United, I would say. Like I can stand here and fully say with confidence, we can go in there and beat those dudes. Like I say that with all the confidence in the world. Simply because I don't feel like they're as good as Liverpool. I don't feel like they're as good as Newcastle. I'm like there's a lot of teams that we've performed against in the past matches at a high level, and I don't see them being any different, even if we're playing at Old Trafford. So I'm fully confident in the squad and in OG that we can roll in there and get a dub the same way we did with Liverpool, if not in more convincing fashion. To be completely honest with you.
But we're home we're home Monday, right? So that's part.
Excuse me.
Yeah. So that would be even better. Are you going to the game, Nick?
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right. So very quickly, they have a lot of injuries. They being United, they have Johnny Evans out, Rafael Varane, Lindelof, Luke Shaw, Lisandro Martinez, Malacia, Kwambala, Mac McTominay, Anthony Martial, and probably Marcus Rashford. That being said, Nick, who should we be
Harry
concerned
Maguire.
about? Yeah. Who should we be concerned about, you think, for United on Monday? Who would you be concerned about?
Oh, what's his face? Who I can't stand. I can't remember his name. The Portuguese guy, Fernandes.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes.
He normally scores against us. Who's the other one that always scores against us?
He's scored in like most of their recent games as well, hasn't he? I think.
Yeah. But it's as T said, we've got a lot of confidence. So I don't think I'm worried about any players, to be honest. It'd be good to see Wan-Bissaka back if he plays. But I think
he's playing. He's definitely playing. They have no left back. He's playing.
They don't have a left back. Yeah.
In front of the Sellers crowd, who are very buoyant at the moment, or will be very buoyant. I expect us to put in a good performance. But Man United can have moments of brilliance in a match just because of the players they've got. They've got enough players to give that moment of magic. Whether Eberechi Eza will be back, I don't know. I'm not sure what the latest is on his fitness. But Jordan Ayew played well enough. We've just got to be wary, really. Guehi, if he plays, is going to be getting used to that new system. He hasn't really played Glasner ball before, but he's seen a lot of it, and he seems an intelligent fella. And it'll be good just to see him the last few times, because most of social media seems to have said, oh, he's the one going, and that doesn't matter because we've got such a good back line anyway.
Yeah, ignore social media, Nick. That's my advice to you. Caragh, Nick kind of spoiled it, but obviously the game Monday, there are going to be some changes. Eze was only rested. He's not injured. He'll be back in the squad for Monday. As Nick mentioned, Guehi's back, but I don't think he'll start. But I'll ask you though, what kind of lineup would you put out there for the game against United, based on the fact that again Guehi's going to be fit, Eze fit, obviously Ayew, Mateta, Edouard, etc. Olise. What would you do on Monday night?
I'd go. It's similar to last time we had this conversation. I just want to see our strongest team out every time. So if Eze's not injured and he was just being rested, then he needs to start as far as I'm concerned. Guehi can come on towards the end of the game when we're 4-0 up or something ridiculous. Just because I wouldn't want to put him under that pressure. Like, we're all up for a kind of a good time on Monday, right? And I think if you put him on to start and he's not quite up to speed, the one thing that we do know about Man United, even though they are having a tough time, is they are still scoring goals. So I think a pretty tough time to kind of bring a defender back who's not quite up to speed. So I'd just give him a chance to come on towards the end, to be honest. But I'd want to see Eze on there. I'd want to see Elise on there. Obviously, we want to see the two of them together as much as we can, and then keep the rest of the team as consistent as possible. I don't think there's no other injuries, is there, since
no new ones. No, I mean, no, there's nobody new.
Any update on Lerma at all? I haven't heard much talk about him at all.
I think he'll be back for is it Wolves game, which is the following week. I don't think we'll be back for Monday, because I think you would have heard, again, we record this the Wednesday before the match. The game is Monday, but hearing the Guehi news midweek, I would think if you're going to hear from Lerma, you would have heard about it by now. But I'm not going to say anything yet, because again, Glasner's press conference is another couple of days. Maybe he's back and maybe he's not. But Nick, nice. I'll ask you, what are your thoughts as far as, now, last time we played them, we played in the typical 4-2-3-1 system that Roy you like to use, and we stole the victory. Let's admit it, we stole that. They had much more possession, they had more chances. We got one great goal by Joa. By the way, also in the goal of the season contender, I have to mention that. Would you do anything different as far as, well, tactically we're going to be something different. What would you do differently as far as maybe our setup, as far as who you would start or not start?
Well, the first name is Wharton, because the kid is just a joy to watch. We used to say that that Wilf was worth entry fee alone, and that was for his trickery. Wharton's worth it just to see calmness personified, and the passes he makes without seemingly knowing where players are on the pitch. So yes, as long as he's in there, and he's had a very, very good partnership with Hughes. I think they work well together. You could almost, it'd be a shame to see that split up in some ways.
Wait, what do you mean by that? What do you mean split up? This season, or you mean next game?
I'm talking about if Lerma gets fit. Now we've got Guehi back. Lerma's going to drop back into the midfield, so it'll be a Lerma alongside Wharton.
Okay.
Will that upset the balance a little bit? Who knows? Players should be should be able to slot into position anyway and play in a similar way if they have to. Eze, yes, if he's fit, of course. Mateta, definitely. And Elise, yeah, I mean, they're a difficult team to beat. What I like about Glasner is against Liverpool, he was overloading the sides, but against Newcastle, it was the middle that swamped. Man United kind of rely on wingers and breaks a bit, so I imagine that he'll try and use the wings more just to close down their chances of attack as well.
Two things that you mentioned. One, I think I always find it interesting that people talk about, well, if someone comes back. I think one of the best things that's happened with the injuries is that it's made us realize we actually had a deeper squad than we actually realized. Having guys like Hughes step up, Klein step up, Richard step up, Ward step up, to me, has made us much better. I'm not really concerned about, well, if Degoy comes back, why am the Hughes? For me, Degoy starts off with Hughes every day, not a put down on Hughes, but then again, if Degoy goes down, you know now that you can step in. So that's the first thing. The second thing I wanted to talk about was like tactically, what's going to happen on Monday is interesting. You're right about them, Nick. United is going to give us the ball. They're going to want to counterattack. For some strange reason, Ten Hag, he doesn't really have a system of play, but he will give the other team the ball and say, "You have the ball. When we win it, we'll counterattack." So I'm interested to see how that's going to work. Now, T, again, I spoke about the first game when we won 1-0. How do you think the new style of Glasner versus Ten Hag is going to work if we're at home and we're going to want to be more ball dominant? How do you think that game's going to go for us, you think?
That's an interesting thing, Patrick, because if you look at the stats up to now, since OG's been in place, our possession hasn't been much higher than prior, but the field tilt has been the big difference for us, meaning that the opponents have been playing in their own half of the field a lot more.
Let me stop you real quick. So T and I both read the same. There's a guy on Twitter, CPFC Tampa, does a beautiful breakdown of the Palace, how we've been playing, and he talks about field tilt. So go ahead, T, continue, because I mean,
Yeah.
go ahead.
So I'm interested to see how it works out because, like you said, Patrick, it sounds like Ten Hag is really okay with giving possession to the other side. I think the reason why that will work out for us is because, number one, we do a pretty good job when we're in possession. Like, it's not like we're one of those counterattacking teams that just have to give you the ball in order to be able to play our style of play. Like, we're very comfortable in possession, and it seems like we do a good job of moving the ball. I think the reason why is it can work out in our favor is because when we're in those situations where we do give the ball up, it'll be in their third, and once again, we'll be field tilting to their end. We're going to be pressing them and hopefully keeping them in, pinned in deep. So interested to see how it works out, though.
What helps with that, T, is sorry, T. What helps with that is the players getting the ball back quickly while that tilt's going on as well.
Yep.
And the defensive line is the halfway line where Chris Richards is retrieving the ball. We sound like we know what we're talking about for the first time. 11 years, Patrick, it's taken. 11 years.
You, mate, I knew right away, but anyway, that's something different.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not just the field tilt, but it's the retrieval of the ball and winning the ball back. And seemingly, you could take a screenshot of any moment in the match, and there'd always be 3 or 4 players around a Palace player with the ball, which never used to happen under previous managers, because the players would just be so static because they'd be stuck in their positions. And it's that, well, they just seem to be all in it and really enjoying it and fighting for each other. And that was lost. And it happens to a lot of clubs whose manager's been there a while.
Yeah, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to keep shouting out Oliver Glasner. I think he's done a tremendous job.
Yeah.
It's really good to see a manager whose tactics you understand. You can see it, how we're trying to change things up, and just to watch football again, and to enjoy it. I mean, I could not be happy. I haven't been as happy about a past manager. I mean, I love Vieira, but even Vieira, I'm going to be honest, he wasn't tactically astute as Glasner is. This guy's brilliant, so I got to give him
it wasn't a whole system. Like, it's a whole. Yeah. This is a whole system of play that he's bringing in. That's the reason why I don't feel like, naturally there's the saying of, oh, it's the new manager bounce that a team is on.
Exactly.
This doesn't feel like that because, number one, like, we're not playing a very similar style to what we were doing at all whatsoever. But there is a level of organization and understanding, passages of play, attacking methods, pressing methods, all those. You could tell it is an actual overarching system that this entails, that Glasner is putting together here. So it's not a bounce. It's literally just a team soaking in this way of play.
And talking about soaking in, you I don't know if any of you saw the Athletic article about Glasner being was it a Knicks basketball match with Blitzer, Harold and Parrish?
Yep, I was actually watching that game and saw him.
No.
It was talking about the talking about.
Let me stop you 1 second. 1 second, Nick. Josh Harris owns the 76ers Philadelphia team. They were playing the Knicks. He actually didn't care about the Knicks because he
didn't care about the Knicks. He was at the Knicks game.
It's a Philadelphia game to watch. So Parrish was there. Harris, and I love the fact they flew Klaus over, because that, to me, that just shows how much he's buying him. Go ahead, Nick. Sorry about that. Yeah.
But it was just talking about the relationship or the commonalities between basketball and football, where a player just it's almost muscle memory or instinct to just know where to look, know where to be, know what the body position needs to be at certain points. Things we don't even think about. They're taught that so much, and the difference between everybody talks about defense and offense in basketball, but it's the transitions, and it's transitions all over the court. So really, there is defense and offense, but they're not separate things, which I found interesting.
I'm really looking forward to, at some point in the future, whenever it happens, hearing these players talk about what the changes were in the on the training field.
Yes.
To be honest,
Yeah.
because there's the system, like all of that is evident on the pitch, but they just look like different players. Like they look so confident. Everybody's talked about the fitness, but even just fitness itself, I don't think can do to you what these players are looking like. Like they're a bit cliche, but they just look a bit freer. Like they look like they're enjoying it. They look like they've got a bit of kind of creative license with whatever, they're, as long as they're doing their job, they're enjoying it, they're confident, and they can kind of take a few risks and try some things out. And I think that's part of what's paying off massively, and also part of why, T, I agree with you, it's not to do with the bounce, because also we didn't really have a bounce. Like yes, his first game was great, but then the next results weren't that much different than what we would have seen under Roy.
Exactly. And then we had a 3 week, break where you can't even like after 3 weeks. Like if you're still playing well in 3 weeks, you're just playing well. I'm sorry. Like
exactly that. Yeah.
You've also got to think about different management styles where players previously are doing what they're told, but within this whole Glasner philosophy, the players are being consulted. But what do you think of this? Can we do this? And the player might say, "Oh, well, perhaps if we did it that way in Glasner, okay, well, give that a try." But there seems to be a synergy going all the way through from the top to the bottom now, which hasn't happened for a while.
Yeah, I want to just add on that two quick things. We go to prediction. Is one, his manager style is brilliant. I love the fact that he rested Eze. Eze knew he wasn't going to play, didn't want to risk him, etc. And that he spoke about how JP went to the coaches and asked for more finishing training and how much that's improved him. Yes, he was improving under Hodgson for sure, but under Glasner, he's a different striker, different level. I mean, when Eze is raising his hands, the goal hasn't gone in. When JP's about to shoot the ball, it's a different level. So there's that. So let's quickly, again, guys, great job there. Thanks for being on. Let's get the predictions. We have actually won 4 of our last 9 meetings against Man United, which I find to be an amazing stat. I didn't know it was that many. 4 of the last 9.
That is pretty
so
impressive.
I'll go to you first, Nick. Your prediction on the game Monday.
Before I give a prediction, good luck to Andy Woodman's Bromley on Sunday at Wembley in the playoff final. Might be in the League Division 2 if they win. So
big up, Bromley.
Andy Woodman. 2-1 Palace.
Caragh?
3-2 Palace.
Ooh. Endo's going to have a shocker.
T?
Okay. Feeling good. 3-1 Palace.
Oh man, you stole my prediction.
Let's do it.
I'll go 2-0 Palace.
Okay.
So I've got all wins.
The Dean Henderson clean sheet.
Before we go, Patrick, I have to ask you this. For those listening on the podcast, you won't actually see this, but all the way through this video, for those on YouTube, there's a sword above Patrick's head. What's that all about? Is that Wendy above you there? It looks like you've got a sword in the picture.
It's is that a pendant or something? Yeah.
Oh, it had to be Palace.
Oh. Man, you got all the memorabilia.
For the podcast, that was just it's like a 1990 Crystal Palace pendant that I got when I was my many travels back and forth to England. So anything else, Nick? Just so I can end the show. Anything else?
No, just have a lovely golfing holiday, and I'm sorry, I will. But I'm charged next week.
I really want to thank Nick, Caragh, and T for being on this week again. Congrats to the women's team. Congrats to the under-21 team. Lots to look forward to, not for the last 2 games, for the upcoming. Palace future looks very, very bright. So for me, Patrick, Nick, Caragh, and T, up the Palace.